Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Generation of Change. I'm Jalen.
Melanie.
I'm Julia.
I'm Naya.
I'm Nav.
And today we have Nev with us, who was at the Sunday protest. And so how have you guys been since we last talked?
Okay.
It's pretty good. I applied to a new job, so
We're at.
Lugia's the ice cream shop.
Nice. How's quarantine been treating you guys since we're on like month 4 or 5?
I'm still working, so I feel like things haven't really changed besides like not being able to see people like each other. So like, that's all that's different.
You guys want to just jump right into it?
Yeah.
Alright, I want to start off though, because it's been like bothering me, but Jalen, like you mentioned in your live that like I was one of the people who like stood by you guys when we did Miracle Monday, and I'm honored that you thought I did that, but like it was just making me feel really guilty because I didn't because I did participate, but I don't know, it's just been bothering me for like the past week or so, because like I want to be honest with you and everybody, like if it were ever to come up again, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks for sharing, Mom.
Yeah, thanks.
I just want to say that. Okay.
Right, so our first topic is the recent events over the weekend. So over the weekend, from Friday through Sunday, there have been multiple events that have taken place in Rochester. And I know, Nayab, you were there for Friday's events. If you want to take the realm on this one and talk about what happened that day.
Yeah, so I actually went with Melanie, and we went with a couple other people. So I'll let her say half, but we went to, it was organized by Black Lives Matter BLM of Rock, New York. So it's like a Black Lives Matter organization in Rochester. And so they had like the Rochester leaders, but there was also like different Black Lives Matter oh my God, I can't talk, sorry. Black Lives Matter leaders from like South Carolina. One guy was from Virginia. So like a bunch of different people came, and it was super organized. Like they had an agenda. They advertised that there will be like lawyers there for if like anything happens, because police instigate, stuff happens. But so they were like, we have lawyers on site, but just make sure obviously stay cautious. They had a lot of people going around with masks, hand sanitizer, gloves, drinks. Like they were like, make sure you stay hydrated, water, snacks. And then also Rochester General came. It was either General or Strong, but they set up like a medic station. So they had like first aid kits, masks, stuff like that. So it's super organized. We got there. It was in front of the Monroe County's election office building. And like the justice, the justice thing was down the street. So it's basically like a little, like a kind of like a little hallway, like little street thing. So like it was like intersections on both sides, and then they just blocked off all that for us. So when we got there, we just started to chant first, like just saying stuff, and everybody was just like mingling and stuff. And then the leaders came on, and they were like basically why we're here. They like went through like the pillars of like what Black Lives Matter is, like the organization, what it stands for, and just like make sure you guys support all Black lives, like all aspects of Black lives. That was like heavy emphasis. They were like, it's not just Black Lives Matter, it's all Black Lives Matter. And then we separated, and they were like, because the police were next to the elections office, so they were like, okay, all the white people, like use your privileges.
We did the 8 minutes first.
Huh?
We did the 8 minutes and 46 seconds first.
Oh, we did that first?
Yeah, and then we started moving up more.
Okay, yeah. So then, so every hour we did, we laid on the floor, kneel, sit, or lay for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, because that's how long that they kneeled on George Floyd's body, rest in peace, or they kneeled on his neck. So we did that for every hour. So they did it at 1. It was 1 to 4. Some people stayed after 4, but we left at 4. But it was 1, 2, 3, and I don't know if they did it at 4 because we left before 4. But basically they did it every hour. And so then after that they like separated white people in the, like, not the back, but like where the police are, and then black people more towards the other side of the street, just like so they could use their bodies. And then we chanted more. They talked, like the Black Lives Matter leaders talked again, and it was overall like it was a really good time. It was real peaceful. The police had riot gear. Why? I don't know. There was no riot there, but they had riot gear, and they told them like take a knee, and some of the police officers were like smiling and like like kicking, and it was like, what's funny? But yeah, it was really peaceful, and it was a lot of police presence, but they never had to use it. So, Mel, did I forget anything you want to add?
No, I think you pretty much said everything. Like, other than the fact that there was actually a really big turnout with white people there, and I was actually really surprised. And like people brought like their little kids too. I don't know if I bring my kid, like if I brought my little brother, but like, you know, that's dumb. Like they're trying to teach their kids that. Like a lady spoke out about that too yesterday at the protest. Like she brought her 10-year-old daughter. But that's pretty much, yeah. I think you said everything. We were just sitting, like we didn't march. We were sitting.
No marching.
It was just that one block of the street that was available for us.
Yeah, it was like advertised as a sit-in.
Yeah, it was nice though. I liked it.
So, like, what was the feeling of you, like the energy around just being around a bunch of people fighting for the same cause? What was that feeling like?
It was my first protest I've ever been to, and it was amazing. Like I felt so empowered, and like when we were chanting all of their names, like the organization, when like they say a name and then we say it back, like when they said Breonna Taylor's name, because it was her birthday that day, like you can hear our voices echoing like throughout the whole street. Like I actually got like chills. I got chills. Yeah, but
yeah, it was real powerful. We also like everybody sang happy birthday. It was June 5th, so everyone sang happy birthday to Breonna Taylor, and the energy was like real crazy. Like it was just like everyone was so passionate, and it was just a lot, like so much Black excellence. I had it was just amazing. I loved it.
yeah.
It was real emotional too. One of the organizers, we said like people in Rochester who've been affected by police brutality. So we said India Cummings. I don't know if you guys know, but she's a Rochesterian, I think they were called, and she was killed from police brutality. So we said her name, and then obviously like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and then they highlighted like let's not forget the women, so we get a lot of Black women's name. And when they read one of them, one of the organizers like started to cry. I think she was related to her, but it was just like real, like just the energy was just like togetherness, brotherhood. Like it was just like, you know, on Twitter, you don't know these people, but like, you know, you're all like together, but it's not like the same feeling unless you're watching a video. As like if a bunch of people retweet this, it's like, okay, you don't get that feeling, but like there, because like real people, like you just feel the togetherness. You feel like I just was like, we could get anything done. Like look how many people are here. It was just
like
a real amazing feeling.
You felt all the love there. And there was a lady walking around with this huge ass sage, and she was just walking around the whole time saging everybody. It was beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
So I know on Saturday in the morning there was the Liberty Pole protest, and then the MLK Memorial Park protest in March. Did any of you guys go to either of those?
No, I have work. I know Brianna went to it, and she said they talked a lot, and then I think she left early though, but she said it was just really peaceful pretty much. That's all she told us.
Yeah, and she said after they talked, it was supposed to be a vigil, but she left early. So she didn't tell, because when she was talking to me and Mel about it. But I don't think she went to the Liberty Pole one, or I don't know if she did, but I know she went to the MLK Park one.
because I was able to go to the MLK Park one. It was me, Evan Bala, and Jordan Klotz. And we started at the park, and we were a little late, but when we got there was an 8th grade girl named Sasha. She gave a poem about what it's like being in America as a Black girl. And it was like the whole crowd was just silent and people were crying. And I believe it was the same organizers who organized Friday sit-in. And they were just like, no one should have to go talk about this in front of a crowd of people, and this shouldn't still be happening. And then they had Black elders there talking about I shouldn't still be in the streets marching for something I marched like 30 or 40 years ago. And it's like I feel like that really opened people's eyes. Like we have been fighting for this since the 1950s, the 60s, and people that were there back then are still here now. And then they went on and talked about, I believe, like Nayab said earlier, like all Black lives matter, Black trans, Black gays, incarcerated Blacks, all those Black lives matter. And then we had actually marched to the Liberty Pole and met up with the protesters there. And we did what Nayab said they did on Friday, where we did the 8 minutes and 46 seconds for George Floyd. We said their names out loud. And like you said earlier, the echoing from the city, it was dead silent after we screamed those names. And it was just like, I got chills too. It was like, Evan and I were just like, whoa, like something's happening. Change is happening. And it just felt like we're really doing something to empower people and empower the community. And we ended up marching after that from Liberty Pole. We pretty much did a circle around the city. And I believe it was like 7 or 8 miles. But because of the energy and like what we felt, it didn't even feel like that. We were just chanting and marching the entire time, and it didn't even feel like my legs didn't get tired. It didn't feel like I lost like drive or focus. It was like I have a goal, and that goal is gonna get achieved no matter what. And that just felt like the energy of going. We went from Park Ave down to the city, back around, and people got out their like houses and joined us in the march and the protest. It was like just like a great feeling, just like to be a part of history, pretty much, of just to experience that. And did any of you guys go to the memorial for the Black Lives Lost at the park at the end?
No.
No, I wasn't able to.
I didn't make it, but I knew the girls who organized it, so I was helping them out a little bit with it.
And like the energy there was crazy because they had an African drum group. And even though it was a memorial, it was more like, I wouldn't say celebration, but it wasn't as dreary as you thought it would be. It was like more of like uplifting their, not like remembering them, but like uplifting them, make sure they're not lost in vain and like stuff like that. And towards the end, it was just like nothing but positivity with the African drum group. They had people come up and dance. If you guys remember at Gates, and the Ghana drum group would come in for the band room, and they would invite people down and like dance in the middle of the room. It was kind of like that, but like a bunch of people of just different colors and races and stuff like that. It's just like, it was a great thing to see and just be a part of. And I know Sunday there was another protest at the MLK Park that I know Nayab you spoke at, and I know Nev you were able to go to. So if you guys want to talk about that.
Oh no.
You can go first now.
Oh, I showed up there about 2 o'clock. They had a bunch of people speaking. Nayab was one of them. It was organized by 2 women from, I think, Hilton.
Yeah, it was Hilton.
Yep. It was a girl and her cousin, and their father and uncle. He spoke, and that was really moving. He took he was very accountable, I think, and he was very much like, this is a problem that is ours to own, like, as white people, because we've failed you all. And he was like, as a white man, as a card-carrying member of the major demographic that has caused this problem, it's my fault, and I have not done as much as I should have. And I thought it was enough to just teach my kids to not be that way, but it's not enough, and I have to do more. And that was very moving. And a younger girl spoke as well. A couple younger high school students spoke about their experiences as mixed women in the school system, how they felt unwelcome from either race, and how they were picked on, or if they went to a more predominantly white school, how they felt guilty for having a better education than some people who went to like the city schools. And then there was a lot of talk also about defunding the police and allocating those resources into the Rochester school system, which I think is something that we haven't been talking about enough, but is a really majorly important and good idea. So after all of those speakers, we chanted the names, and we didn't make it through everyone. There's no way with the time that we had that we could have made it through everyone. It would have been hours and hours of chanting names. And then we took it to the streets, and that was incredible and moving. Cars were stopped. They were beeping at us. They were putting up fists of solidarity out of their car windows, and it was beautiful. There was a girl who was saging everyone. We were chanting down the streets, and it felt powerful, and you could hear the echoes hitting off the buildings, and it felt like there was electricity in the air. And we marched down to the public safety building, and we ended up sitting there. I mean, my boyfriend and his friend and I stayed for maybe 3 more hours almost outside of the public safety building. But when we left, there were still people there protesting, and it was incredible. But a lot like Friday, I think that everyone was telling the police, like, take a knee, drop your badge, and they were laughing at us. A couple police officers had their hands on their guns the entire time. And that was pissing people off, because at that point we had been all sitting down, like passing around water bottles, making sure people had snacks if they needed them. Like, we were not only being peaceful, we were literally sitting, passing around food and drink to make sure everyone was okay. And they still had their hands on their guns in their holsters. They were in riot gear. That was frustrating a lot of people, I think, too. And they at one point brought out the horses. There were snipers on all the buildings. They had drones flying out over the crowd. And we were just astonished, because at no point whatsoever did we protest in any way other than overwhelmingly peaceful. But overall, it was such great energy. We kneeled for 8.5 minutes. We did that twice, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Twice at the police department, at the public safety building. And everyone was dead silent, and it was incredibly moving. So that's my take on what happened yesterday on Sunday.
I know the BLM Rock. They've done one every day since George Floyd died. So I think he died on, rest in peace, but I think he died on May 25th. It was the first day of protesting. I could be wrong. But BLM Rock has done an event every day since May 25th. I don't know if they're doing one today, but Sunday they did. I went with Melanie again to Sunday's protest with Neve was there. I saw Evan Bala and Christina and like Jamie Hogenkamp. They were there too. There's a lot of people from Gates there though. And they did event. BLM Rock did an event at the Liberty Pole from like 11 to 1. They did something in the morning. And so I know some people, we didn't go to it because we didn't know about it, but some people who were there at the protest we went to, they were telling us that there were people who came from there. They were like, oh, I just came from the other event. And then the lady who was talking, who had the mic at the end of at the public safety building, she's one of the leaders of the BLM Rock. So I don't know if she was there for the whole, or I saw she came like right before I went on to talk. I saw she came and was like talking to the 2 girls who organized the protest, because like we didn't know, we thought it was we didn't know who was organizing it. It wasn't advertised on the flyer or anything, but she came and like talked to them. And then at the march, after the marches ended, me and Mel left probably like 30 minutes into the protest because we had a ride. We didn't drive ourselves. So after we got to the public safety building, we weren't there for too long. But I know she was like she was the one that was like saying the names, and everybody be silent stuff. They didn't do the Sunday thing that like we went to, but they still like came and supported the girls who did it.
Yeah. And then I don't know if he was part of the organization, but there was one main guy, and he was talking for like the majority of the protests too. But he was the one who was like leading us during the chants. Like those two girls from Hilton, like they were talking, but like I could tell like they wanted the mic to be for other people, you know, because they're white. So like, but like, well, personally, like, well, me and I, we didn't know it was organized by two girls from Hilton, and they were talking about if we knew if we would still have gone or not, because like when we first got there, we're like, oh, there's a lot of white people here, like there's hardly any black people here. There's probably like when we first got there, like we got there at 2 as well, but like there's probably like 10 black people there. So we're like, oh, this isn't the turnout we thought it was gonna be. But like it just felt like when they were talking, like the two girls and like their family members, like what they were saying, like it wasn't really for the black community. Like it was more for the white community, because like they listen better to people who look like them other than like black people, obviously. But yeah. So like the main guy who was talking, he mentioned that he was with like a group of 50 other people on Saturday night, I think he said. And they were marching, and then the police were shooting bullets at them, and like I don't know if they tear gassed them or not, but he said that he got shot in the leg a few times and he got shot in the eye with the rubber bullets, but they didn't put that on the news. Yeah, and he was talking, and it was very moving when he talked though.
Yeah, when we first got there, it was more black people came towards the end, not towards the end, just like towards the middle, because we got there like 1:55, like, you know, we were early, and that event I'm pretty sure started at 2, so it was like it was a lot of white people at first, but then like more black people came, but and then how Mel said, we were talking like after the fact, we were like, would we have gone if we knew it was two girls from Hilton? And then I was like, I don't know if I still would have gone, but I'm glad I did. Just also because I talked, but also because I think that like what Neve said, like what the dad was saying, and there was also a mom who came, and like you could tell it was heartfelt because she started to like bawl. Like I was on the sideline and she just bawled, and like she came to hug me, and I was like, oh, yes. Like, but then someone else hugged her. But like she was really like bawling, so like you could tell. And I feel like a lot of white people hear things better when it comes from white people. Like if I say something, I feel like it's not as effective as if a white person tells them. Like I feel like they're gonna be like, oh yeah. So I was actually like thinking about it, and I was like, I'm glad I went, because I also like talked and stuff, but like I think that it was effective for the white people to see other white people, and then so they could be like, okay, yeah, I get it, yes, we need to change. Because if I feel like if they went to like the Black Lives Rock, the BLM of Rock, they were like super, like the event with me and Mel went on Friday, they were super like, we have to elevate black voices, guys, like come on now, like, you know, they you know how it's like, you know, they're like, we have to put black people first, this is affecting the black community, you know, black whatever. And so I think like some white people, not the young ones, but like some of the older ones, I feel like are not going to be as receptive to that, because they can be like, we want to be, you know, why are you guys putting us to the side, you know, because like it's their first time going to the side. So I feel like having white people say stuff, it was like allow them to like digest it. So I think it was good that, like, I'm happy that I went and I saw that.
So one thing I forgot to bring up earlier was media presence, because I know for Saturday there was little to no news outlets like News 10, nothing like that, to cover how peaceful the protests were. And I know when I watched the news later that night, they were just like, it was peaceful, and then they went on to the next segment. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about the media presence at the events you went to on Friday and Sunday.
At the two protests that we went to, I'm pretty sure like I only saw like 1 or 2 camera guys there, but like the majority of the time they were always just on their phone, like not really recording anything. And like the pictures they took and they posted on Instagram, those pictures are ass, first of all. Like it does nothing to like show what their protest like really looked like on Friday. But yeah, like there's this one guy, like he's gone to every single event and he spoke yesterday too, and he said that he's traveled everywhere, but he was saying how like in Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse, like we're super segregated, and he's been to like places like down in the South, but like he's like been carrying around like his huge ass camera, putting in people's faces, but like the news should get like his content and not having like those old white men going out taking those ugly ass pictures.
And I also think it was like at least Sunday was a lot of just like independent, like you could tell they're independent just because like they just had like a camera and they were just doing their thing. And I don't think I saw any. I think there was one like big camera that like it was on a stand, but I don't know where they were from. But I think on Friday they had, just because it was like a BLM and it was like, you know, like an organization thing. I also think like the news didn't go to the Hilton because there was no police presence at the Hilton one. There was like one police car, but there was not like at like the BLM Rock event. There was a lot of, you know, police presence, and I just think it's because like, you know, when they're looking at like, oh, who's doing a protest, because, you know, you have to get a permit and stuff, they're like, oh, you know, like it's just some girls from Hilton. So that's why I think that like they didn't send any news anywhere to Sunday. But Friday, I think there was there was multiple like the big cameras that moved. But didn't see any like logo on the side. So I don't know if there was any news presence, but I know like at both events, a lot of like independent photographers, recorders. I don't know who they are, where they're from, but I know there's like just a lot of people going around recording and taking pictures, but they never said like where they're affiliated with.
Yeah, like I honestly believe like they're just there for the action, and like they don't really care if their protest is gonna be peaceful or not, because they're like, that's not what people want to see. Like the news are still showing the riots and stuff, but like that hasn't happened in over a week now. Like all the protests have been peaceful, like everywhere.
I unfortunately wasn't able to make it to any of the protests because my parents have me locked up in this house because of Corona. But I tried to look up any media presence online to see if like local news outlets have put out anything, and I really didn't find much. A few days ago, I was watching the local news and they were showing peaceful protests happening during the week, and they did interview some protesters, and that was nice. But they didn't really do much to show like what the protests really embody. Like the experiences that you described, that's so powerful. And I feel like everybody should know about that. And I don't think the news outlets care enough to be showing those things. And that's why sometimes I think, well, the riots, I guess, were necessary. There was no way that peaceful protests were going to get the national coverage that they did from the riots. So that's understandable. Like Mel said, they're only there for the action. The only thing I did find when I looked it up was that there were articles showing like upcoming protests, like warning the public, this is what you need to look out for, instead of like there's one this Saturday, where, what time, like instead of showing what's happening at the protest, they're saying when to look out for them. And I think that's just the wrong angle.
There were a couple on Sunday. It was really, really late into the protest, though. It was probably around, I don't know, 3:30 or 4 p.m. Probably a couple different news stations or companies came by. I saw a Spectrum camera on a stand, and I saw a couple other like big professional cameras being held around on shoulders, but I didn't see what they were from. And I saw one guy who had a microphone and it said 13 Wham on one side and Fox and a couple other news outlets that I didn't catch. So the media was definitely there, but I think that they were expecting it to be something like more sensationalized and exciting. And while for people who care about the cause and the movement, it is very exciting to see peaceful, passionate protesting, I think for the media, it wasn't a riot, so they didn't really care. Mm-hmm. We weren't like tearing shit down and looting things, so they didn't really care because they couldn't frame it in that way.
Yeah.
Just another reason to support your local activist, Joshua McFadden. Always say his name. All right, so the events that took place outside of our community, this has been nationwide so far. but in the video of the police officer in Buffalo
Oh my god.
that pushed down the old man. See if I can pull it up here from the notes.
Okay.
I've seen that video everywhere. Like, so many people have posted it. Oh,
So if you guys haven't seen it, for those who are watching who haven't seen it, police officer, this has happened in Buffalo and Niagara Square when they pushed down the old man and they just kept walking. And you see, as like the video continues, like they just say like leave it alone. And later on in the video, you see the only person that kneels down is a soldier. Like right here, the only one that kneels down to help him is actually like a U.S. soldier from the National Guard. And then they're more worried about people recording it from the news to show actually what happened. And then actually, they lied about it to the news and they said, I really love this headline, Buffalo police pushed an old man, but said he tripped because police lied. I thought that headline was hilarious. But they said in a statement here that he tripped. And I don't think they knew that people were recording and actually published it because they told news outlets that he tripped and that he got medical attention immediately. And then later on, they had to redact their statement after the video came out because they got caught. So I wanted to see what your guys, like Julia, give you a chance to speak on this. What do you think about this?
I think it's disgusting. Like Nav said, a cab. And then at first the two police officers that were shown in the video pushing the old man to the ground, they were suspended. And then, of course, there was media outrage. Everybody was like, this is how it's supposed to be. So then eventually they were charged with second-degree assault, I believe. Yeah. And then they were tried on it as well. But when they were charged, 75 officers decided to resign to support the men that were charged. A cab? Oh my gosh.
A cab.
It shows that brotherhood, the code of blue, where they support each other and they wouldn't have ratted each other out. That is not how it should be. And then after they left court, there was like a crowd of people, like firefighters and their fellow police officers, were cheering the men as they left the courtroom, like cheering for them. And then they had like sheets to cover any cameras so that people wouldn't record them, take pictures, whatever. Like, they went to such great lengths to show that their support for these men, that they shouldn't be charged. They need to do what they've been doing at Minneapolis, like with the Buffalo Police Department. Like, just take everybody out, fire everybody, and replace it with something new, because 75 people? That's not okay.
I've heard some conflicting statements about why the 75 resigned, and I don't know which one's true, but everything that I've heard reveals some issue, so whichever it is, it's a problem. But they actually were interviewing a couple of the officers who resigned, and first of all, they didn't resign from the police force, just from the unit that deals with like rioting and that sort of deal. But one of them was like, we didn't resign because they were charged. We resigned because after they were charged, the city told the rest of the police force that if they got in trouble, they wouldn't cover their legal fees. And they're like, you're asking us to put ourselves out on the line, but you're not going to cover our legal fees. Okay, we quit. So, I mean, whichever it is, it reveals corruption and bastardization. So I stand by a cab, but I don't know which it is because it's so hard to determine like what's actually going on with everybody, all of the police departments and the local government lying about it to cover things up. I'm not sure what's happening in truth.
Mm-hmm. And I just think the most disgusting part of the video is like that they left him, and like the one officer tried to help him up and he's like, no, leave him. Like, why? I don't even understand. And then the the mayor of Buffalo, I guess, or the city, I don't know if it was Buffalo or Niagara or whatever, but he was basically like, because their job is, first of all, he was lying, like, oh, he was picked up in a couple seconds. Okay, no, it was not a couple seconds. Couple seconds is 1, 2, 3. That was like tens of seconds. He was lying there. And then he was like, he was picked up in a couple seconds. The medics came, and he was like, this is on like national news. I'm pretty sure he was on CNN. But he basically, or they showed it on CNN at least, but he basically said that that their job is not to like their job wasn't to pick him up. Their job is to not break the ranks and keep moving forward. No, that's some BS. First of all, like, that's just common sense to pick someone up who you pushed, who fell and is bleeding, especially he's old. So that's BS that they have to keep the rank forward. I'm pretty sure if one person's picking him up, it's not gonna, the whole unit is not gonna fall apart. So I don't know, the Buffalo mayor was like trying to like cover it up. Oh, he fell for once, or he was only down for a couple seconds and they came and got him and they couldn't break ranks. The medics had to come. You don't have to be a medic to pick somebody up off the floor. That was some BS. So I think that whole video was just disgusting.
And then, yeah, we talked about how the 75 police officers resigned. And then a positive that took place, the DC Mayor Bowser, renamed the section of 16th Street in front of the White House Black Lives Matter Plaza, and then painted Black Lives Matter across the span of 2 blocks. And I find this to be great because it comes where Trump put up a sign outside the White House saying resist. And then the next day this happened. And I find it like Trump has nothing to say now.
I didn't know about that he put up a sign that said
I didn't know that either.
outside his house.
Outside, I believe it was outside the White House.
Oh my gosh.
No, he is so ugly. Like,
I think about the changing the name of the thing. It's great, like, yes, but who asked for it? Not anybody. Like, I'm happy they did it, but I just feel like that's not what we wanted. That's not what we asked for. We asked for change. We asked for, like, if you guys really want change, pass 8 Can't Wait, okay? There's like a thing going around 8 Can't Wait with it's like part of the Black Lives Matter, like the national organization. It's like they have like a little subsection, and I wrote it down, so I have information for the viewers. So basically it's to ban, they want these 8 policies because chokeholds and strangleholds are universally used throughout all precincts in America. Like, this is like a thing that we don't even know. Like, that's how they're trained, is to choke and strangle. So basically it's for every, all precincts in America, police precincts, to implement these 8 things because it's like scientifically proven that implementing, or scientifically backed up through studies, that these 8 things reduce, I don't know how accurate it is, but it reduces police brutality instances by 72% in a precinct. And some precincts in America have already implemented these 8 things. So basically it's banning chokeholds and strangleholds, requiring de-escalation, ban shooting at moving vehicles. Sorry, my handwriting's so bad. Duty to intervene. You have to have a warning before you shoot somebody. So like, you have to say, I'm about to shoot. Like, you have to exhaust all alternatives before shooting. Use your other weapons first. Don't just go for the gun. Require use of force continuum, and require comprehensive reporting. So no more turning off these body cams. Leave your badge on, not that little fake band for solidarity. No, we know why that band is on your badge, because you don't want people to see it. So yeah, so there's like 8 things. It's called #8Can'tWait. They have a website. And it's like, that's what we want. We want laws, we want change. We don't need, like, nobody asks for the street. Like, I love the street, and I'm like, yes, but like, we didn't ask for that.
Right, it's cute, but like, ultimately it was like a nice gesture, but it's not what we need. We need the change. We need action. That's not action. That's like a Band-Aid.
It's just symbolic. It doesn't change anything besides, I don't know, puts a smile on our face, I guess, for a little bit. Something that, there have been not a lot, but a couple laws passed on the local level, such as like the Breonna Taylor law, which is a really good thing. It basically regulates the it's like the no knock the no-knock rule or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it regulates it so it doesn't include drug crimes, which is what they knocked down Breonna Taylor's door for, which was what they thought was a drug crime. But on the federal level, just this morning actually, the chairwoman of the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, they just released their proposal for a new law called Justice in Policing, the Justice in Policing Act. And it doesn't cover all of the 8 Can't Wait, but it does cover bans on chokeholds, bans on no-knock warrants, and then it also requires a national database of police misconduct. But then what it doesn't include is new police funding, which is really important because we want to defund the police. So it doesn't give the police money to activate these reforms, which is a really good thing. They just released the proposal this morning, and the problem is, of course, the Democrats are all for it, but we don't know if this will pass in the Senate, which is majority Republican, and then we still don't know if Donald Trump will even let this go past his desk. Which, like, the protest induced this law to become, like, to be, like, put through the House, but this is where voting is important. I don't know if this will be able to come into fruition now, but in a couple years after these people in Congress, their terms go up, maybe we'll be able to vote and actually put people in office that'll actually listen to our demands and will actually put this law into act. Like, I love this, but I don't know if it's going to be enforced like really relatively soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like the plaza, it wasn't more like, hey, we're gonna step in the right direction. It was like, hey, we'll give you this if you stop. It's pretty much like, hey, we gave you this. Isn't it enough? And it's like, I don't think they realize, like, people are gonna keep fighting until change actually happens. And
Mm-hmm.
gestures like this isn't gonna, like, do anything. Because I feel like it's the same as, like, naming a street like Martin Luther King Ave or something like that. Like, it's not really doing anything. You just named a street that people are gonna not even look up at the sign at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I talked about that in my speech at the protest on Sunday. Like, basically, like, this is not like a trend. This is not a hashtag, Blacktop Tuesday. It's not a little Instagram black square. Like, that's not gonna do nothing. Like, some people are just posting a black square. Okay, I did my part. Like, that's not your part. Like, that's not a part. I don't know why you thought that was helping anyone. Like, we need actual change. We need actual policies. Like, we need actual, if you can't, anybody can sign a petition. If you can't donate, sign a petition. If you can't sign a petition, you watch a YouTube video. There's a lot of YouTube videos that you can, don't skip the ads, and all the money goes to Black Lives Matter. Like, there's a lot of things you could do without money, because I'm a broke college student too. Like, I feel the struggle. Like, you don't need money to help.
I also feel like it's a big thing people misconstrue. They're like, oh, I would do this, but I don't have money, or I'm saving up. It's like, if you just take the time to research, there's millions of other options you could do. Like, even just like donating your time to go march, like, even that would be enough. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
And then it's simple as just having a conversation with the people around you, and just listening to the things they say, their opinion, their take on what's been going on, and correcting any prejudice or bias you hear them come out with. Like, it's just, if you can do something as small as just talking to people. It really doesn't require money.
Yeah, blacklivesmatter.carrd.co. Super easy. Everything's there. Resources to use, petitions to sign, places to donate to. No excuse. blacklivesmatter.carrd.co.
Literally, just for shits and giggles, I Googled how to be a good white ally, and hundreds upon hundreds of pages of Google results came up with loads of links, with really good resources, really good ways that, as like, even if you are a person of color, BIPOC, and you just can't make it out to protests or can't afford to donate, like, hundreds of great ideas for ways that you can make change on a local and community level, as well as on a larger scale, making phone calls, making sure that all police in your area are required to wear a body cam and show their badge number as part of their uniform. millions of things that never occurred to me, but would be really important, I realize, in practice. It's that easy.
And speaking of change, in Minneapolis, the city council voted to disband the police department in favor of a community-led public safety team. And I feel like this is just the start of things that are going to happen to take place. So I know, Melanie, if you want to talk about this one for real quick.
I heard a little bit about that, but I know, like, I saw, like, people, like, they called it a rally. I don't know if you want to call it a rally, but, or, like, they're voting with each other to see, like, what changes they want to see in their community. And I saw that even, like, Buffalo, they were, since those officers resigned, like, the increase of, like, peaceful protests there have been because of that, because there have been no, like, police, like, interaction with the protesters. So, like, it's not the protesters who are instigating the violence, like, it's the officers. And, like, officers, like, the police force was put into, like, action to police Black people. It wasn't to protect the community. It was to police Black people. So, like, we don't need that anymore. Like, we can protect ourselves.
Talk that shit, man.
And I feel like people don't realize, like, you need to change things around in order to see results. Because I've always heard that people like, oh, what is that going to do? That's not going to do anything. But it's like, how do you know unless we try it? And it was like at the protest on Saturday, they said, we're going to have to experiment and try things and see what works and see what doesn't. So I feel like this in favor of, like, if we either, like, disband them or, like, say, like, they just stop for, like, a while, like a month or two, and just see what happens. If there's no police force, then that shows you which direction you should take it. Because I believe in New York City, there was a time where the NYPD, they went on strike and they said, look how worse the city would be without us. And the crime rate dropped by 57% without the NYPD in, like, a city like New York, which I feel like people don't realize things need to change, and you're only going to see results when you start to change.
Right. Like, that's why, like, in, like, the low income communities, like, they mostly have gangs in those areas because they know that the police aren't going to protect them. That's why they have the gangs there to protect the community, not the police officers. The gangs are protecting the community from the police officers when the police officers should be protecting the community. But they got it reversed, where it shouldn't be like that.
I think a lot of people forget, like, the Bloods and Crips, they weren't originally a gang. They were designed in order to police their own neighborhoods in areas like in the South and on the West Coast. And I forget what they stand for. I could actually look it up right now. Because Bloods and Crips are actually an acronym. And CRIP stands for Community Revolution in Progress. And then Blood stands for Brotherly Love Overrides. And I don't think a lot of people know that, like, gangs aren't started just to cause violence. They're started because they're the ones that decide to step up and protect their communities because they know no one else will.
On the note of, like, a community safety force, I feel like people don't realize, because I didn't realize, but I learned this yesterday at the protest, only 6% of Rochester police are from Rochester. Did you know that? Only 6%.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
How can we expect them to care about a community they don't belong to? They're distancing themselves from it. So I feel like if not adopting a community-led safety force, at least, at bare minimum, it should be a requirement that you have to be from the city that you're joining the police force of. That only makes sense to me.
Or, like, even lived in there for, like, an X amount of years. 6%.
It shouldn't just be Minneapolis that is disbanded. There needs to be active investigations in every police department everywhere to see if they are open to reform, because that's why Minneapolis is being disbanded. There's no point in trying to reform because they're beyond that. So there has to be active investigations in every single one to see if disbanding is needed.
Yeah, the Minneapolis department, so much corruption. Oh my God, so much corruption. So I'm glad that they disbanded them. I didn't know. I heard of talks about they were gonna disband them, but I didn't know until I read your notes, Jalen. I didn't know that they did. They actually went through with it. So I'm happy.
Fun.
Oh, you gonna say, Melanie?
I said defund the police, fund schools.
What'd you say?
I said defund the police, fund the schools.
Period. Fund infrastructure.
And something on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. I had a hard time whether I wanted to put this in the memes part of the notes, but Terry Crews decided to tweet the other night, and I believe he tweeted more today.
Again.
And it's like I could even read his tweet with a straight face, and I was like going back and trying to read this article, and I couldn't. And it's like, if I can pull it up here.
He meant well, but I don't think it came off the way he meant it for it to be.
Does anybody have the tweet up right now?
He said that there's black supremacy.
Yeah, I found it. Here it is. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen. He said, defeating white supremacy without white people creates black supremacy. Equality is truth. Like it or not, we are all in this together. And then somebody quoted it saying, every time I think Terry Crews has done worse, he always does more. And it was like, come on, like, dude. And like, I know he went back and said that, oh, what was it? He went back and said, I'm not saying there is black supremacy. But then I believe it was earlier today, he went back on Twitter. He said, any black person who calls me a coon or an Uncle Tom for promoting equality is a black supremacist because they have determined who's black and who is not. So it's like, he said it doesn't exist. Then he, like, the next day, 14 hours ago, he went back and said, yeah, it exists. If you don't agree with me. And I found, and I was like, dude, I feel like he's in that group of black celebrities that goes to both sides. Like, he's in the black community and he's in the white community. So they're gonna listen to you, like him, Will Smith. Like, Will Smith has been using his platform. But like him, he has the ability, they will listen to him. And then he decides to go on social media and go on a rant about this. So I just wanted to see what your guys' take on this is.
Yeah, what's it called? I think this is a perfect example of, I know like later we're gonna talk about it, but like there's celebrities who are, not celebrities, people like the people, we don't want celebrities to talk. Don't make a statement because what you're gonna say is just open your purse. Like, we do not want a statement.
Yes.
Just donate, okay? Just open your purse, use your platform. No statements unless you have something real to say, like you're Amanda Seales, Angela Rye, someone who actually knows what they're talking about. I don't think Terry Crews knows what supremacy means. To be a supremacist, you have to be in the majority of the population. Black people are 13% of the population. The math doesn't make sense. Black people can never be the supremacy because we're never going to be the majority. So I don't know if he knows what supremacy even means, but I just think Terry Crews, like, if you don't know what you're talking about, donate. Just donate. We don't need, just donate.
Even if it's just to shut people up, just donate and don't say anything. You don't need to. I feel like, and I don't really, I want to know what you guys think about this after I say it, but because I'm not really sure how to phrase it in a way that makes sense. But I feel like a lot of Black celebrities are viewed as authorities and experts over Black non-celebrities. So in that regard, I feel like there are like levels of racism and oppression. And I feel like when you're a celebrity, regardless of your skin color, you lose like at least a couple layers of where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think that Terry Crews saying Black supremacy and blah, 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 is forgetting that he doesn't face the same hardships as, say, somebody who's in an inner city, low income community that's over policed and faces constant oppression and racism from the white community. He's in a place of power and authority, and I think he's kind of forgotten that not everybody is.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I never really thought about it like that, but yeah, like he doesn't really, like, yeah, he's black, but like he doesn't really understand what other black people are feeling, because we don't really know. I don't know how he grew up, but it just sounds like he's ignorant from his tweets.
Yeah, no, I think that Nebe phrased it perfect. Sorry if I cut somebody off.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You started.
Oh, okay. I think what Neve said was like they lose where they come. Not like you lose where you come from, but like like you forget, because even like people like my cousins who I have cousins who like grew up in the East Side in like Pittsford, Victor, like super white schools, and they're like the only black people. And like sometimes I'm like they tell me things, and I'm like, that's like that's racist, like that they're not on they're not on your side, like they're definitely whatever. So like I think that like where you grow up is gonna affect the way you view things. So like Terry Crews been in white spaces for I don't know, I've been watching him since I Everybody Hate Chris, so that was way in back in the day. So I just feel like he's been just in white spaces so much, like he just forgot, like not even forgot, but like he just lost touch with like where he grew up, like how it is. So I just don't talk, just put O in your verse, don't talk, basically. Just.
And I feel like you can see like the huge disconnect between somebody like him and somebody like J. Cole, like both huge like black celebrities, but you never see people talk about Terry Crews giving back to the community. And like, but you see J. Cole, he's out in North Carolina protesting, and when people are asking him for pictures, he's like, no, that's not what I came here for. I came here for the cause. And like you can just see like a huge disconnect of like people who forgot where they came from and the people who are constantly reminded of where they came from. And I feel like that plays a huge part in like using your platform as a celebrity and what you talk about. All right, next topic. 24 armed bystanders lined the ending of a Black Lives Matter protest in Northwest Indiana. Let's pull this up. This happened, I believe, June 7th. That's when the article was published. But there's a video. Well, that's an ad. But there's a video that'll be here soon. And it was basically like they were armed with here it is. They were like just set and just with guns. Like they wanted something to happen, so they had an excuse to shoot them. And I feel like people don't talk about this as much as they talk about the riots and the lootings, because like this is just as bad. Like just standing there like antagonizing people that are just doing nothing to you, and it's like with loaded rifles and guns, and like the officers, they said nothing to them and they were just standing there.
It's just a perfect example of white privilege. To have white people armed with their fingers on the trigger ready to shoot, and the police are standing there doing nothing about it, while peaceful black protesters are getting like tear gas in the face, shot in the face with rubber bullets. Like white privilege at its finest.
And they don't have masks on.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. None of them did have masks on.
And I saw, okay, first of all, if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter, because like Twitter, I know everybody's like social media is that, but Twitter will show you the real of the real, like there's so many videos on Twitter that I'm like, this needs to be on the news.
Like, don't even watch the news. Just go on Twitter. It's how
for real, like, yeah. Like there's so much on Twitter that like I'm like, wow, like this needs to be on the news. And I know one news station posted that video, Jalen, and they blurred out the people with the guns faces,
Yeah.
but not the protesters' faces. And I'm like, for what? And there's just like so many instances of like, okay, Indiana, obviously I'm guessing that's a open carry state. You know, I don't know all the open carry states, but I'm pretty sure, I'm guessing that is because the police were there and they didn't do anything. But I know that like California, it's not an open carry state, and there was videos of like Huntington Beach and like, you know, Northern California cities with white supremacists with guns, and the police are there with the protesters. What? That's illegal. Go check that. Like it's just like the energy is not held the same with the police and the what's it called and the white supremacists. Like wait, it's not the same. Like the KKK is not even a terrorist group, but now Antifa is. Like, okay, I don't know about Antifa. I'm not with them. I don't know what they stand for. But like, why is it like the KKK should have been a terrorist group when it first started, and then, you know, and when it came back in the 1920s, and when it came back in 1960s, I still don't understand why it's still not like a terrorist group under the FBI, domestic terrorist group. So like the energy is just not the same. And then in Seattle, there was a video of the police chief telling the KKK, go hide inside so you know, we don't want them to see we're playing favorites. What is that? That is what that is so disgusting. That is so gross. Go hide inside so you guys are not subject to the curfew because we don't want you guys to see, we don't want to play favorites. Like just say you hate black people and I would respect you. Like just say you're a racist and then stop denying it. Just say it, because what at this point I'm like, I don't know if you guys saw that video.
Yeah, I saw it. I don't think it was the KKK.
Julia?
I think it was they support the same values as the KKK. It was like something brothers, blood brothers.
Yeah, the Blood Brothers. It's like a KKK. Yeah, it's basically KKK.
So apparently white supremacist groups were considered, in 2018, they deemed white supremacist groups were terrorist groups. But saying white supremacist groups is so general. And also it took you until 2018 to do it. And here's my thing is, even if they are considered a terrorist group, no one is enforcing that. Mm-hmm. Because there are active white supremacist groups and leaders and meetings, and no one's doing anything. But apparently in 2018, they were marked as terrorists. Okay. But the other thing is, Antifa, it's not like an organization, you know? Antifa is just a political stance. It's being against fascism. It's like, if you remember, there was a lot of dissension in the feminist movement because of radical feminists saying things that the entire movement did not stand for. And Antifa is kind of like that, where radicals were doing like dangerous, illegal things, and the entire rest of the organization was like, we're just against fascism. Mm-hmm. We're just saying don't be a fascist. So it's kind of like that. So it's weird that they're like, all anti-fascists are domestic terrorists. What does it say when you're, as a country, your stance is that anti-fascists are terrorists?
For real. I saw the perfect meme on Twitter. It was like the biggest Antifa led like movement in history, and it was the D-Day, Normandy D-Day. Like the U.S., so you guys literally fought fascism in World War II. I don't know why you guys are saying Antifa's a terrorist or anything. Whatever.
And next topic, return to normalcy. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on, because you probably seen on social media, people are starting to post like normal, like nothing has ever happened. And the people you saw posting stuff about Black Lives Matter a week ago aren't doing it now. So I wanted to get your guys' take on the people that are posting like nothing happened and like treating Black Lives Matter like a trend.
I think that goes to show how the Blackout Tuesday trend went. People ended up doing it just because everybody else was doing it and there was nothing else to do besides that for that one day. And it was a little controversial because people were saying that it was overwhelming the hashtag, or people who were doing it wrong were overwhelming the Black Lives Matter hashtag, and it was limiting our ability to see, to be updated on the news and what's going on. I just think people are doing it just because other people are doing it. I don't know. It is raising awareness in a way, but how many of those people are actually taking the effort to research and educate themselves? Because I bet you most of them are really just posting it, putting the hashtag, and moving on about their day. And then will they care about it a week from now, 2 weeks from now? Who really knows? But the movement isn't slowing down. I mean, BLM of Rock has been doing protests every single day since George Floyd died, RIP, but it's really just they're doing it because other people are doing it, and I don't know if their heart is really in the movement.
Yeah, on Wednesday, I know that it was like the day after Blackout Tuesday. 26 million people posted a Black Square. 15 million people signed George Floyd's petition. The math's not adding up. We're the other 11 million people. So I do think like people were treating it as a trend. And just personally, like my Twitter feed is like, it'll die down and then like it'll come back up, die down as people like see, like, you know, if I'm seeing it's dying down, then I start retweeting my stuff. But I'm also on Black Twitter, so I don't really know what like the other Twitters look like. So I don't really know what other people's Twitter look like. You know, like the Twitter's just a lot of Black stuff. So, but on Instagram, I watch people who they didn't do nothing and now they're posting their selfies and stuff. I'm going on people's Twitters, looking at their likes. I'm looking at their retweets. I'm looking like if you didn't do nothing, unfollow. I don't need that energy. Like unfollow. Like so, people who are treating it as a trend, I'm definitely just like okay, cut the tie.
Yeah, people who like I absolutely know from our high school said the N-word were like posting a black screen and posting nothing else, no information, no resources. And I was like, okay, it's performative. I get that. Like you're just doing it because you want other people to think that you're like woke. And that's whatever, you know. It's kind of like what we were saying with celebrities speaking up on social media, like just don't. If you're just doing it to show other people that you're gonna do it, then don't. I personally, I'm gonna keep posting resources on my social media. I'm gonna keep posting information and new things, and I'm not going to feel comfortable posting like a regular Instagram feed post for a long time. Right. But that's just me, you know. I feel like it's slowing down on social media is a dual-edged sword because I think it's going to weed out for us a lot of the people who were just being performative activists, and it's going to show who's actually in it for the fight and in it for change.
Right. Like my sister was telling me, like when we were all doing Blackout Tuesday, like this girl from her school, like she posted it, and then like an hour later she posted a picture of her and her boyfriend, and she was like, that's not the whole point of this. Like you're not understanding. Like, you're obviously just posting it just to post it. Like at that point, don't even bother posting about Blackout Tuesday. Like that's not what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like eventually it's gonna die down. Like eventually there's gonna be things like there's not gonna be things to keep retweeting. You know, eventually even I'm gonna go back. But I just feel like if you weren't even doing anything before and now you're going back to normal like this fast, okay, now we know where you stand. Like it's not a political. There's no politics. Like Black Lives Matter is not a political thing. It's Black people. Literally, we deserve to live. Like where is the Democrat Republican? There is
like,
none.
Why don't we get political? It's not about
like you could be Republican and support Black lives. Like for what? Why? You want our vote, don't you? Like,
okay, so last topic that we have are the positives to come out from this past 2 weeks. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a Black couple, I want to say it was Philadelphia, where they got married and then immediately joined the protest and the march. And It wasn't planned like that. I don't, because I believe people on Twitter were saying, "Oh, they did it for clout." It was like, no, they
Yeah,
were getting.
they had like their wedding date planned like way ahead, but I think like their ceremony still in 2021, but they still wanted to get married. Like on the date.
I didn't see that. That's so cute.
Yeah, and it was like they were already getting married. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Melanie?
I don't think they did it for clout. Like, why would you be like, oh yeah, let's have our wedding day on a day of protest? Like, who thinks like that? Like, they had it planned out way before.
Yeah, I don't think people realized like they were getting like this. What it really happened was they were getting married, and then protesters saw that and then circled around them. So it wasn't like they were like, "Hey, come protest at our wedding, and we'll come march with you." It was like they were already getting married, and then people that were marching saw the ceremony going on, and then they started supporting them, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go march after our wedding," and then people on Twitter got the story misconstrued, saying, "Oh, they did it for clout." I was like, "No, they actually." Nobody was like 2 years, 3 years, they were like, you know what, I think on this day it's going to be a protest. Let's get married. I think like they were like thinking about that.
Yeah, no, they got married at City Hall, and then just so happened that a protest was happening in the city. So, I mean, it was a coincidence, I bet. I don't think they would do it for clout.
This is the first time I saw that, but I'm happy I did. That was really cute.
And then
they're really good too.
Another thing that happened was in Utah, a Marine he's a retired Marine, and he protested in front of the Utah State Capitol with this is art that someone did after they saw what happened after it went viral, and they were like, he put black tape over his mouth and said, "I can't breathe," had a sign for the victims like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, and everybody else who was a victim of police brutality. And it was over 100. He stood there for over 3 hours in over 100-degree weather, to the point where his shoes started to melt into the ground, but he never moved.
Wow.
And then not only that, he would also, like, he stood there silent with the tape still. And he stood there where he took a knee and people were giving him water. And like, I just thought this is really powerful because, as we know, people in the military aren't allowed to voice their opinions on political views. And I feel like he took that. He didn't even care. Because I'm not sure if it's still like that once you're like out of the military. Because I believe he had a head injury in Iraq, so he had honorable discharge. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if it still works like that. Like, even if you're not technically still fighting in the military, if you can speak your political views. But I just thought this was like amazing.
Yeah, it didn't even get that many likes on Twitter.
Well,
it didn't even get that many likes on Twitter.
This is the first time I saw that too. But what did you guys say melted into the ground? His shoe melted?
Yeah, it was over. He stood for over 3 hours in 100-degree weather, to the point where his shoes started melting into the ground. Like in this picture, you can see the soles of his shoes like on the pavement.
Well, your thing, Jalen. Yeah, once you leave the military, now you can be a political activist, or you can talk about politics. But a lot of people on Twitter didn't understand that. Like, there was another video. I don't know how viral it went, but I saw it, and it was like a black. He was in the army, because DC is not technically a state, so the military is there right now, because like it's illegal for the military to police citizens unless it's like the Insurrection Act of 1875, which Trump's trying to pass. But the military is not allowed to police civilians unless the Insurrection Act is like put into effect. So, but DC is not a state, so that's why the military is there right now. And there was basically, I don't know what branch of the military it is, but I think it was the army. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. But there was basically a black guy, and they were like saying that song, "I'm Black and I'm Proud," like say it loud, "I'm Black and I'm Proud," and he was like mouthing it under his like thing, and people were recording him like, "Look, he's saying it." And people on Twitter were like, you guys don't understand, like if you're in the military, you can't, it's like not to like the police can just quit. Like if you don't like what the police are doing, like there's a lot of stories about my cousin, the police, he quit and he protested today. Like police can just quit. Military people can't just quit. Like if you leave, you're gonna be dishonorably discharged and then you go to jail. Like it's a federal offense to leave the military. Like you have to stay the whole thing unless you have like an injury. So like, you know, Kelsey, like she's in the military, but she still stands for Black Lives Matter. So I think a lot of people on Twitter were like getting it confused with like, why are they doing this? But like they don't have a choice. But the military actually has to. Like police don't have to, but the military actually has to. So I just wanted to say.
I saw that video. It made me sad because he couldn't do anything. He had to just stand there.
Oh yeah, you saw that, Mo?
Yeah, I saw it.
I don't know if you guys saw it too, but he later, I believe it was either the same day or like a day after, he quoted it and he was like, I'm always gonna say it because I'm a black man before I'm anything. And then I was just like, people are risking everything for this movement. And it still like baffles me that people are like, what can I do? Or like, I'm not gonna make a change. And like, when there's people out here risking their jobs basically of like what they should do. I don't know if you guys also saw this of the in New York City of the ambulance driver that got on. She was driving. It was two of them. It was a black woman and a black male, and she was on the loudspeaker supporting them. And
Wow.
I don't know if I can find the video, but it was like powerful where she was like, I'm black, like nothing's ever gonna change that, I'm with it. And like she was like pretty much joined the protest. Oh, I think I just found it. Where she joined the protest with, and like you could see the guy that was driving. See if share the screen. Can you guys hear the audio?
Okay.
Hold on. Your computer sound. I forgot you have to do that.
Please be safe. Make it home safe. Come out every day. Do not let up. We are making change. Do not let up. Get home safe. Get home safe. Please get home safe. Stay together. We fucking matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives
That's so
Wow.
cool. I love that.
And it was like, it wasn't, and she's not the only one, but it was like other healthcare workers are also like, they're risking their jobs. It's like, I don't know if you guys saw it. It was I want to say it was New York City again, where all the healthcare workers, they took a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds outside of their hospitals, and they did that. And it's like,
I know Strong Hospital did something on Friday too.
Yeah, white coats for Black Lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, the University of Buffalo Medical School did that too. I don't know if it's the medical school or the hospital affiliated with the medical school, but they posted something on the University of Buffalo's Instagram.
and I just thought it was like great. Like, it's not gonna stop. Momentum's gonna keep going no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And and also I saw on Twitter the Marines finally banned Confederate flag flying in any of their bases, and also like if you are a Marine, like you can't have a Confederate flag. I'm confused why it wasn't banned before. It was literally anti-America. Literally, I don't know. I'm just confused why people fly it. Like, it's why you a patriot, but you fly it because it was against America. That's just my thing, but I feel like the military should have banned it. But yeah, they finally banned it, the Marines, and they're taking down a lot of all of the Confederate statues in Richmond, Virginia, which has the most in the country. All of them are coming down. I don't know about other places in the South, but I know a lot of places are taking down the Confederate statues. Finally.
And I know that even over in Britain, they're doing that.
And where?
In Britain, it was, I forgot, I don't know who the statue was of, but we're not gonna say his name because no free clout. But he was like, they tore it down and they threw it into the ocean. Right? Yeah, they threw it in like to the river. And I felt like it was like the most like ironic thing ever. It was pretty much like the Boston Tea Party all over again. They took what they hated and like threw it into a river to make a change. I thought that was like pretty funny.
I wanted to see a video of it and I couldn't find it.
I think I can find it on Twitter.
My favorite video.
I don't see the video.
My favorite video is the British Black people, or British Black Lives Matter movement. They're like, Black Lives Matter. It's like too so. Yes, I love that video.
Too. But like the Confederate flag should be considered illegal, period. Like even in Germany, like they don't put the swastika up anymore, like it's illegal. Like
yes,
same thing. Like that shit's dumb. Oh, can I swear?
I think a lot of people forget like the South was, they were like they're pretty much traitors to America.
Yes, like
and like that's like they're traitors. They wanted to start their own country, and a lot of people forget that like West Virginia exists because of that. Like Virginia was like, yeah, let's succeed, and they're like that part was like, nah, fam. And then like they made their whole like different state, and like, I think a lot of people just don't know the history behind what that flag really is. But I don't blame it on them. I blame it like on the American school system. That's a whole different conversation.
No, Jalen, they know. They just pretend like they don't know. They know. They know that flag has like states' rights. No, they know that flag, what that stands for. Like anyone who has a flag, they know. They're a lot of ignorance is bliss. So they're like, oh, states' rights. Like what state? Ooh, it's not. It's slavery.
People at Gates had the flag of the lockers and shit.
They got in trouble for it though. The people at Gates who like had the Confederate flags in their lockers.
But they said because Brianna and Kanisha are the ones who like reported and got it down. They told the kid, like they only took it down for his safety.
Oh my God, you're kidding.
Yeah, they said it was for the kid's safety. We think you should take this down for your safety. First of all, I don't feel safe. It's like if someone has a Confederate flag, I'm walking around their car. I'm not interacting with them because I know what that mentality, like I know what the ideology behind that flag is like, and so.
Yeah, if you have a Confederate flag, I know the type of person you are. You don't have to open your mouth. I get it.
Real.
Oh, and Melanie, I found the video of.
Let's watch it.
It was in Bristol, where they took down.
And they said that he tripped. The statue tripped.
Sorry. And I just found it's like one of the greatest things. If that's not a positive to come out of this, I don't know what is. And another thing I want to ask you guys about, has there been any music you guys have been listening to, like inspiration or education, like ever since this movement has started, and in our city basically?
I know. Honestly, Black Eyed Peas for some reason, like they made a comeback to me. I don't know why. But I know like Spotify, like they have like a whole playlist with Black artists on there. I think it's called like Black Lives Matter. I think.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Yeah.
It has like new songs, old like Richard. I'm so sorry, guys. But they had the "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." That song, like they have songs back in the day, and then they also have like Beyonce, J. Cole, stuff like that. So it's like a whole, it's like a whole spectrum. But all this, it's not just like Black artists. It's like songs highlighting the Black issues. At least the Black Lives Matter playlist is. But I only have Spotify. But I know like Apple Music. Some people said that it blocked out everybody. I don't know if anyone here has Apple Music, but I guess they blocked everybody except Black artists or Black something.
Yeah, it was on Blackout Tuesday where they.
I heard SoundCloud did that too. My cousin told me, like they scribbled out like all of the artists and the albums on Blackout Tuesday too.
I know, like Apple Music, they only had besides if there was any music you added to your like, it was like in the browse or for you section. Really, they only had one radio station playing, and it was like for Black featured artists and like songs highlighting Black issues. And I remember when I clicked on it, it was like the first song that popped up was "Fuck the Police" by NWA, and I was like, oh, this is a great thing. Cause I know people are mad about this, and that just makes me happy. But like for me,
and I know Nickelodeon did stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Or Nickelodeon and Disney Channel both put like a 8-minute 46-second ad up. Like they stopped playing everything on all like the Nicktoon, Nick Jr. everything, and like Disney. I don't know what else Disney has, but they like all of it went black, and they just put like a video. Disney had like a cute little video of Black kids, and Nickelodeon had like a statement.
I've been watching a lot of movies lately since quarantine started, and I've been watching specifically like Black movies, and recently I watched like The Help. And I haven't seen a lot of Black movies.
No, that's not a Black movie, Julia.
The Help.
The Help.
The one about
The Help is just Help is like Green Book. I don't know if you guys watch Green Book.
Yeah.
But it's like showing like white people are the savior. Like those are stories were like all written everything by like white people, and it's like showing like that white woman saved the little people. Like it's like it promotes the white savior narrative.
Oh, I see what you mean. So was it like Black produced or directed or anything like that?
It's not even that. It's like it doesn't represent. It's like a white person story. It's not the Black people story. It's the white people story.
Oh, well, yesterday I watched Zootopia, and it's basically just it's like predators versus prey, and it was a really accurate representation of what's going on like present day, but with animals and for a child audience. And I thought like I don't know, this is on the side.
Yeah, Zootopia. And also, When They See Us, it's a series. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about it. But it shows police brutality of the Central Park 5. And if you want a documentary, Ava DuVernay's documentary on Netflix, 13. Watch it. It's so amazing. I watched it like 3 years ago, but I'm about to rewatch it. I watched it when it first came out, but I'm about to rewatch it. Like it's so good. It's like it just highlights everything wrong in everything, like all the injustices of the criminal justice system. And then also there's another Netflix show called Patriot Act, hosted by Hassan Minhaj. He is Muslim American. He's also South Asian, so he's Indian. And he has like the show is like it's like a political comedy. It's kind of like the Trevor Noah show, but it's like more political. But there's still jokes in it. I love that show. But they also have. He has episodes, like there's different topics besides just Black Lives Matter stuff, but he has episodes of like policing and like how it's broken in Black communities. And he just has like a lot that he talks about stuff that like not a lot of other people are talking about. So Patriot Act, I would watch. When They See Us, 13 by Ava DuVernay. There's other stuff, but.
And like, I know for me, I actually made a whole playlist of like any songs that reminded me of like what's going on now. It was like songs from like the Hamilton soundtrack about revolution, or like those are like inspirational songs. And then I have songs like Run This Town with Jay-Z, Rihanna, and Kanye about like standing up and fighting back. And there's like other songs on there had like for education about like the Black experience. Like J. Cole's, I believe it was Immortal, is the one that he went on. I forgot what talk show it was. This is the one where he was talking about, like, I think it's his most famous live performance he did on TV. I think it like recently went viral on Twitter again, where he was talking about Black issues in America. Neighbors, he talked about how his neighbors thought he was selling drugs, and even when he like, cause he's like the only Black one in his neighborhood, and like actually the music video for that shows police brutality, police abusing their power, I would say, because he wasn't even home, but he had cameras set up around his house where they like busted down his doors, had guns ready, and like the end of the video is the police disabling the cameras and stuff like that. But like also Lupe Fiasco, he has a lot of stuff about Black education. He has a song like Freedom Ain't Free, especially Round My Way, stuff like that. And like for movies, like Nayab said, I watched 13. Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee. I went back and watched that one. Malcolm X, the biopic with Denzel Washington. Fruitvale Station is a movie I recommend like to anyone.
That's a good movie.
Like, but that's like also a movie like I can't watch multiple times because the ending always gets to me.
It's a Michael B. Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Oscar Grant. It's about Oscar Grant.
I don't know if it's still on Netflix, because when I watched it, it was on Netflix, but I don't think it is anymore.
I believe it's on Amazon Prime right now.
Oh, really?
And there's like the Trayvon Martin, Rest in Power, the Trayvon Martin story that's on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I Am Not Your Negro, which is a documentary that came out on Amazon Prime. I believe it came out in 2016, around the same time as when 13th came out. Yeah. And then like the final movie I always recommend to people is Get Out, because even though it's not directly about police brutality, stuff like that, it's like it shows you the Black experience. Like there's the scene where he's talking to his girlfriend's dad. He's like, "Oh, I would have voted for Obama a third time." It's like it shows little microaggressions like that. And I don't want to spoil the ending for anybody who hasn't seen it, but like the whole ending of the movie is like it's a whole message I don't think people get. Mm-hmm. And like once you watch the movie a second time and you like see all the little subtle things that lead up to that, it's like it blew my mind.
I think they were there was an alternative ending too when his friend is supposed to come and then it's not. I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm. Jalen, the scene you're talking about, well, when I saw it when it like first came out in theaters, and it was like a lot, just like the whole movie. It was at 10 to 10, but like a lot of the whole movie theater was just like a bunch of Black people. And when when the scene you're talking about happened, Jalen, the whole theater was like, no, like groaned because we're like, we know what's gonna happen now.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think I've been listening to like vastly different music. I think I've basically been I've been listening to a lot of like Denzel Curry and JPEG Mafia, and I think Denzel just recently dropped Pig Feet, which was really good. But I mean, I'm not like you're the movie person. I'm not the movie person.
I guess.
Do you have any movies to recommend?
Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Last Black Man in San Francisco. You've been telling me about that one.
Mm-hmm. Spike Lee has a new movie coming out on Netflix called The Five Bloods, so I'd check it out.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Five Bloods?
The Five Bloods. I think it comes out the 12th on Netflix.
Oh, sweet. Were you going to say something, Jalen, about the movie?
Oh, it was just like Get Out. I remember, because I wasn't able to see it in theaters. I bought it when it came out on Blu-ray. Because it was like one of those movies I was just too busy to go see at time. And like that's like one of the few movies I regret not being able to see in theaters because the audience reaction about what happened. Because I remember I was like by myself in my living room watching it, and I was like, yo, what? And I was just like, I'm not even joking. Like there was a time where like I didn't talk to white girls like for 2 weeks after that movie. Cause like it like that movie paranoid me. And I was like, yo, what are they gonna do to me if I talk to them? And I was like,
what are they gonna do?
Talking to Marcus about it, he was like, because I think Marcus said the same thing. He was like, yo, I was like, I don't like for like after that movie, I was like, I don't know if I can look at them the same. And it was like, like
Jordan Peele appeared like the things he comes up with is chef's kiss.
For real. No, yes, Jalen. So when I watched it, there was a couple, like an interracial couple, a black guy and a white girl, like, and they were leaving at the same time of us, and everybody was like, "Yo, watch out! What's your number?" It was so bad, but it's like it's just it's like it was like meme culture before meme culture was a thing. Like it was just so funny. I was just like, "Wait, what's your number? Like, send us your contact info."
I think I like Us more than Get Out though.
I didn't really like Us.
You didn't like it?
No, I remember seeing it in theaters. Like, it's a good movie, but like, is it better than Get Out? I don't think so. Cause like Us wasn't really about like Us had a different message than Get Out, but I feel like the message in Get Out was way more powerful than it was in Us.
And sorry, go to there.
Oh, thanks. I think the thing about Us is like because the cast is majority black and it's a Jordan Peele movie, people would go to it expecting it to be about black issues, but in reality, it's just a thriller with black people as the cast. I think maybe that could have been the message.
I think that because Get Out, like the message was more like out there. Like you didn't really have to think about it. Like you did, but like it was more like open ended. Like you can just be like, oh yeah, it's like about this and that. But like Us, I think you really had to think about like what Jordan was trying to say. It was like everything in the movie was symbolic. Like even to like where the rabbit's ears symbolized the scissors that they used. Because he had a fear of bunnies or rabbits, whatever they're called.
Yeah, what Mel's that's what I was gonna say. What Mel's saying, like, I think Get Out. Well, they're both also different messages, like the American dream versus just black issues. But so I think that like the Get Out message, like anybody gets it. Like when I left the theater, I'm like that. Like you get the Get Out message. Like you just get it. Like even if you don't get the little small things, like when he was picking the chair, it was like picking cotton. Stuff like that. So like there's like obviously little small things that you're not gonna get unless you like watch YouTube videos or something. But I think they Get Out messages like a lot more just like laying it out there. And I feel like Us, like when I first watched it, I was like Jalen, I was like, man, like it was good, but I was like, I don't know about this. But then when I like started to like research it and like look into it, I was like, whoa, like this is like mind blowing. So I just think that it was. Us was not the same. It was like I feel like they're not comparable to like which is better. Just like it's like two different like
they're still
genres
very different.
basically, like two different messages.
Yeah, but they're both really good. I just say that they're both really good.
Yeah, Jordan Peele is like 2 for 0 right now, and he would have been 3 for 0, but Candyman got delayed, which I'm mad about. So mad that Candyman got delayed.
He directed it?
No, he's producing it, but there's a black woman directing it, which is like one of like the first black women like to direct a horror movie. Candyman 2020.
I know the original one's on Netflix right now.
Yeah, the original is still one of my. Oh, the director is Nia DaCosta. That's who. I believe she's What other movies has she done? Oh, this is like her first breakout movie actually, because her first was like a little film, Little Woods, in 2018 with Tessa Thompson and like Lily James and stuff like that. But I think this is like her main like, and I feel like that's what Jordan Peele wanted to do. Like, put it like he knew that people are gonna see if his name was attached to it, but he knows like the end goal is like it's gonna give her recognition like and boost her career. So I feel like that's what he did with this.
Also, Black Panther. I know a lot of people probably seen it, but even though it's not a black, like it's a black cast, black director and stuff, and it's not like a black-owned movie and stuff like Jordan Peele movies are, but the message is still there.
I remember when I feel like Black Panther is one of those movies that like you have not like you have to see it, but you also have to be there for the experience, because like a lot of people don't remember that Black Panther was trending on Twitter. Like the hashtag Black Panther is so lit was trending like 2 years before the movie even came out. And like every week leading up to the movie, it was like people showing up in dashikis and like dancing in the movie lobbies. And it wasn't more like the message in the movie, it was more of like the representation of black people in Hollywood. Yeah. Of like they're not like finally a movie where we're not portrayed as like thugs or like drug dealers. It was like black people in positions of power. And I think that's the main reason people went out and supported it, because like if they see that we want more like this, they'll produce more like that and give us more representation. So it's like Ryan Coogler, Jordan Peele, like all those, Ava, what's her, I don't want to pronounce her last name. Anybody want to pronounce
Ava
it?
DuVernay.
Yeah, her. Like people like that are like, we need to uplift them more in the community.
Right. Like a bunch of people on Instagram, like I see like they're posting about like other businesses that you can like buy from instead of buying from these big corporations, or like support these influencers, like broaden your horizons, like diversify like your following. So I didn't realize, I'm like, wow, like the majority of the people that I felt like they're Asian. I was like, let me diversify myself for a minute. Well, not for a minute, but like, you know.
Yeah, it's just because, well, you're obviously related. Like, in elementary school, I didn't realize this either, but I was like, all my friends were mostly black. Like, Marcus McFadden, Troy Pesky, like all my friends. I don't know why I'm shouting people out, but but like all my friends were mainly black. And then as middle school and all this stuff, like I was in accelerated and stuff, so like, you know, obviously I was the only black person in a lot of my classes. But I just think like it's just like you're just attracted to people who are similar to you.
Right.
So, like, I don't blame you for like following only XYZ, but I think black people, we have just so, like, we don't have a lot to look up to. There's not a lot of people to look up to. There's not a lot of, like, who is a black YouTuber? You know, when YouTubers like name, who is the black YouTuber? Like, there's no big black, like, the YouTubers, like, there's a lot of, like, athletes, and, you know, now there's a lot more actors and actresses, but, like, 10 years ago, Will Smith, like, there was just, we just have not a lot of people, as much people to look up to. And this goes with Asians too, even Native Americans. Like, you guys know, there's not a lot of Asian actors. There's not a lot of, you know what I'm saying? So I just think, like, we have less people to look up to, and we've been around white people so much. And, you know, we could code switch. Like, we know how to just, like, live amongst white people. So I think we have, like, we have to, like, we don't mind, not that we don't mind, but, like, it's easier for us to consume white people, white culture. But I don't know, there's not a lot of white people who, like, there's not a lot of white people who watch black YouTubers or do, you know, like, watch black XYZ, and they don't feel the same comfort. That's what I feel. So there's a lot of YouTubers who are like, I don't know about a lot, I only saw 2, but they were like, here's some black YouTuber who do the same content as me, go watch them. And I know there's, like, people, well, if you're watching this and you're from Rochester, I know Mitch Canfield, I'm shouting him out again, I shout him out in my speech, but he posted a thing of, like, black businesses to support. But if you go to, like, blacklivesmatter.com, I'm pretty sure you can look up your city and they have black businesses to support. I don't quote me on that, but I think I saw that on Twitter. But you can just look up black businesses in New York City, black businesses in Philadelphia. Like go support a black business, go buy from somebody black. Like, just support black people if you really are for the movement.
And last thing on the notes are the memes that have come out the situation. And there are 3, but this one I find to be hilarious. That Virgil, the CEO of Off-White, decided to donate $50 to the bail fund for Black Lives Matter. And then he decided to post a screenshot of his donation on Instagram. And I feel like, I know he didn't mean anything in harm, but it was like, you could have just kept this to yourself. If you were only going to donate $50 and you own Off-White, where your socks cost more than your donation, you should have just kept this to yourself.
Okay, so look, we were talking about this, and I was like, no, I feel like he didn't. I was like, he has to have done more. Like, $50, that's it. So then, like, I was committed to prove his innocence. So I was, like, looking into it, and then he said that he was just, like, following, like, an Instagram chain or something. That's, like, he tagged, like, those people saying that he's, like, following the same energy or whatnot. So I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, but then again, like, he's not posting about the other donations that he's done. But he said he did. I'm not sure the exact amount. I think it was, like, 20,000 or something like that. I don't know. You can fact check me on that, but yeah, but like he claimed that he's been doing other things. Like I think he posted about it on his Instagram, but then again, like we don't know what everybody's doing behind closed doors. Like same thing with like Drake or The Weeknd. Like I think The Weeknd donated $500,000.
Yeah.
Drake did like 200 or something, 400. I don't know.
Yeah, for 100,000.
I don't remember.
But I think, but Mel, what you're saying, yeah, Virgil did say it was because like it was like people tagged him and it was like in his hometown and were like match that energy. So he like did it to like they were donating everyone was donating $50.
Yeah.
I did see he was trying to like defend himself with that. My thing is I don't think like if you're a celebrity you have to post everything. Like there's a lot of celebrities like Beyonce and Jay-Z, like they do a lot behind the scenes that like not a lot of people know about. Even like Kanye, I know you guys want to talk about that, but like he did a lot, but and he didn't like advertise it. My thing is like I don't think you have to advertise it, but Virgil, like if you get called out, then show people.
It just looked really bad.
Yeah, it looked bad. Like just show people. If you were saying I do all this behind the scenes, okay, show us so we can stop clowning you.
Cause like he posted that, okay, then at that point you have to show us all your receipts.
Yeah, because like now we don't believe you. Now we only believe the 50.
Yeah. I hope he's telling the truth. I would still want to stand him, but we stand Ben and Jerry's. That's it.
I don't know if you guys saw that people are now saying instead of keeping it 100, they're saying keep it 2 Virgils with me. What I find that's hilarious. That's gonna stick for a while, and I feel like this all could have been avoided if you just.
It really could have.
It's all could have just been avoided. Because now when people see your name, that's the first thing they're gonna think of is like you only donated $50, and your brand is you charge how much for your brand. I think that's the main thing people are gonna take away from this, no matter like even if this like moves on.
Do you guys think celebrities should post how much they donate?
No, I don't believe they should. Actually,
if you're like asking for a match.
Yeah, like if somebody says like I know like on Twitter there was like a trend like match and they posted like their donation and like it was like a Twitter train. Like only like that you should post, but like at the end of the day, people don't need to know what you do on your daily basis in your life.
Exactly. Kanye though, I don't know how I feel about him.
Oh,
I think he did exactly what we wanted.
Okay.
I have a section about Kanye coming up later.
I know he likes Trump, so I don't know.
And on Twitter, people have started protesting in GTA, where they decided to wear all black and then do this to the police officers. And it was like they're doing this, and I can't tell if people are doing it for the jokes, but I feel like because this isn't the only time protests have been on in video games. I know in NBA 2K, people have been protesting by not playing, and like they just been standing there with shirts that said "I can't breathe" and "Black Lives Matter." It's like even in video games, people are starting to come together and like they're tired of virtual police.
Virtual police. No, you say police don't play.
There was one of my favorite trends is like this you. And it's like they'll put it's like a person who posts a statement about like Black Lives Matter, and then it's like this you, and they post something from like a controversial past. So I saw Rockstar, like I don't know if they like own GTA or like but like that's like the company or whatever. They posted a statement, and then somebody posted a video this you, and it was like a police beating up a guy in the video game. And like those videos are so funny to me.
This you.
I know there was one. No, it's Justin Bieber. Every time he posts something about it, they always say the video of him saying the N-word when he was like 14. It's like I was like at that point, I was like, just stop tweeting, because no matter what you say, they're gonna end up clipping you with that with that clip.
He said one less lonely N-word.
Now back on Kanye. I titled this, has Kanye been on our side this entire time? Because recent things have come out where it's like, was he playing the long game the whole time? He played us all and took the L in public for us. And it shows like Kanye has donated $2 million so far, set up 529 college saving funds, the cover for George Floyd's daughter Gianna, for her tuition, and then made separate donation banks for other families affected. And then he's been donating to several black-owned businesses in Chicago and others that have been affected. And then it says that Kanye got rid of all his MAGA hats, and he was wearing them just to get innocent people out of jail. So basically saying he wore them to get up in power and use his influence for good. And it was like, he said he's never gonna wear them again. And he said he didn't start getting a woman out of jail till he put a hat on in that meeting. And then it was this where people thought he donated to Trump's campaign. And then like all his donations since the election of that year have been to like DNC, Democrats, and progressives. So like now people are saying like, has Kanye like been undercover on the Republican side this entire time, helping out the black community? So I was like, what do you guys think about this?
I don't know. Because like, I'm kind of indifferent about Kanye. Because, I don't know, like I just feel like he's the narcissist at times. So like, I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent about him.
Y'all remember when he was giving that big speech about how he was going to run for president?
Yes.
Mhm.
And he was talking about how much he hated Donald Trump. So I always thought it was really weird that like he gave that big speech talking about how like all of the young people hate Donald Trump and we have to listen to the young people because they're the future. And then he like turned around and was wearing MAGA hats and stuff. I always thought that was like really strange. So I guess I would be surprised at the forethought, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised about his intention, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought this was like a modern. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie. Also, another movie, Black Klansman,
Oh yeah,
by
Jalen,
Spike Lee,
No, I didn't see that yet. I wanted to watch it though.
about how a black cop infiltrated the KKK with a white man's face. It has Adam Driver, and it's really good. I just thought this is like a modern day Black Klansman of Kanye going undercover and trying to use his influence for good.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought that was funny.
I didn't know until, well, Julia told me first, but I didn't know about like how he came out and said how he's like did it to like help or whatever. Like he did it to go undercover. I didn't know that like people were saying that. When I first saw it, I was like, this is exactly what we wanted. Like, don't make a statement, Kanye, because like it's not just like his MAGA stuff. Like he's also said other controversial stuff like slavery was a choice and stuff. And I know people are like, look at the context of the video. If you said slavery was a choice, period, like you shouldn't have said that. But so he's like said other controversial stuff that I don't know. But I don't know him personally. I don't know his intent. So like he could go undercover. Personally, I think good on him for. Like he did a lot. Like he was donating to black businesses in Chicago who got like looted and stuff. I know what you're saying. And George Floyd's daughter's went to college for free, like already covered. Like so, I'm so happy for her. He paid for the legal expenses for Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. Like I'm so happy for them. $2 million to all the families. Like he's doing a lot, but I don't know if it's like I don't know. I don't really know how to. I feel like Mel. I don't know how to feel about going undercover. Like I don't know if he did harm or help. Cause I don't know. I feel like he didn't really help. The thing about like he got the girls out of jail. I thought that was Kim. It could be we don't know everything behind the scenes, but I thought Kim was the one who's like got Alicia Johnson and like all those other people out of jail. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
Cause like I feel like Kanye, he's ever since he got into rap and like College Dropout. Like he's always talked about black issues and like on songs like All Falls Down and like the song he had with Jay-Z on College Dropout. Like he's always talked about it. He's always been like a main forefront in black issues. So like I'm like Nev said, I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to use his influence for good. Was like, did he really think about it beforehand?
Right.
Or was it like he was like, did he realize that later on? He was like, oh, I could do something with this. And then the final thing I have in my notes is Lego pulls all advertising on police kits, on police Lego sets, after donating $4 million to Black Lives Matter.
Period.
And
Thank
people
you,
thought they
Lego.
were like, they stopped selling. It was like, no, they paused anything with like police or like rescue workers. And then also they donated the $4 million to organizations.
Everybody go buy Legos.
I know. I was like, my brother's only gonna be playing with Legos from now on.
And it's like, it's one of those things like you didn't expect Lego to say something because they didn't really have to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like with this and like Nickelodeon's like these companies are saying stuff and they don't really have to.
Yeah.
Which I find it's like great.
It's a toy company. You wouldn't be like, oh, I hope Lego says something.
Even like Ben and Jerry's, like no one was like looking for Ben and Jerry to say something.
You know, I'm still waiting for Ben and Jerry's to hit me up for the collab. Let's get Peachful Protest as a flavor.
Ooh, what would that taste like?
Peach.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Peach. Oh, that's it. Trademark that.
Wait, what she said? What did they say?
Peachful Protest.
Like I tweeted out yesterday, I was like, "Yo, Ben and Jerry's, let's get some flavors like defudge the police and Peachful Protest. Like let's get this
Ooh,
and donate all the proceeds to organizations."
Ooh,
Let's get
defudge the
collab.
police. Oh, that'd be
That's
so.
the ice cream I got. The fudge one.
But yeah, that's the last thing I have in my notes. So if you guys anything else you want to say, closing remarks?
I also just want to say last thing that people who are like, oh, white privilege or whatever, it's not real. But like, just look at how the police treated different people. Even like the protests, like the police was heavy police presence at the Black Lives Matter protest, but not at the one run by the Hilton white girls. Like, and then there was another video of that guy who ran his truck into protesters, killed a black man, and then they gave Dylan with Burger King, they gave this man a smoke. He was literally not, okay, first of all, if you kill somebody with your car, if you purposely run your car, that's intent. So that's first degree murder, that's to life. Then he killed a black man, and then instead of arresting him, the police guarded him while he was taking a smoke break. Yeah. But Eric Garner was killed for selling cigarettes. Like, it's just like, you just like watch your privilege, check your privilege because it's real, and that's all I'm saying.
Period.
Anyone else?
Yeah, white privilege is 100% a thing, and one of the biggest parts of like educating myself more aggressively these past few weeks has been desperately trying to learn the best and most effective ways so that I can use the privilege I have to benefit the movement and to benefit the Black people around me. And I don't know, I'm gonna start learning how to use that better, you know, forming barriers at protests between police and Black activists, advocating for Black people in my workspace. There's so many things, and it's things that we would never think of as white people because these aren't issues that we encounter among our race, but we need to listen to the Black and Indigenous and people of color around us and listen to the struggles that they've encountered in order to learn how to not repeat those cycles, I think.
Thanks, Neve.
Yeah, well, thank you, Nev, for coming on this episode,
Yes,
sharing your experiences.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for watching, and always remember, we are the future, we will be the change.